Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to another Shamshir Sound video. I put together 20 tips from some of the best EDM producers, including Hardwell, Dada Life, Julian Jordan, Moti, John Christian, Showtek, and Henry Fong. I hope this compilation will be inspiring and insightful to you, and if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and dropping a like for future content. Alright, let's get on with the video.
Rule number one, there are no rules in music. It doesn't matter if there's like too much mid frequencies in a track, you know? All those mastering companies have like a certain line, the perfect line your track should sound. There is no perfect line your track should sound. The only thing that's perfect is if it works on the dance floor.
In these days, there's too little info on the filters. People just use them and go straight, but you can go straight but still have it moving a bit, and that's, you get a groove in the whole thing. I can play it and remove it, you see. Now it's just straight.
It's flat, it's boring, I want to sleep.
Do you want to sleep now?
I want to buy ice cream.
So sometimes we use the pre-made effects, but we never use them like up here, so you can, it's more like if you want to fill out maybe some swooshiness or something, then we use it. But for this like main thing, that's gonna like build up the whole track and you're gonna feel it from behind, we need to be sure that it works perfectly with the track. No, not just add something and it's like, oh, it works. Before the drop, it's not super bass heavy. It's just like keeps itself here. And the high ends is almost the same as when it kicks in. Which, I know, for us, like the drop, for that recipe for us works so nice. It just like hits so hard. And that's so important. Sometimes when it's perfect in theory, it's like this one is perfect in G and that one sits perfect. It could still sound like shit. So it's like, if we detune it to +1 and it sounds perfect, then we're gonna use it because it sounds perfect, but it's not perfect in theory. But most of the other times it works okay.
Sometimes the kick can be like tuned like a fifth from the key of the track, for example.
Try to get that right from the beginning, because like everybody knows how when you build a whole track, and in dance music it's like the bass drum is such an essential thing. At least for us, you can't just like I take a next one, because it changes the whole character of the track and how it's driven.
If something is wrong with the whole feeling of the track and it's hard to say what it is,
yeah,
it might be worth checking the tune of the kick drum, because that might be like changing that. Then you might realize, that's where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And when you realize, that's where it's supposed to be, maybe start looking for another kick drum that is in that key already. Because sometimes pitching kick drums too much
loses the
changes
punch
the whole
of it.
Yeah, the punch.
See producing as your first day of like discovering the whole thing, discovering everything, discovering buttons and that you don't really know what they do, but you turn them on and then there's like this crazy sound or it gives this crazy effect. Always do that, never stop. Like for instance, like Old School, I made that track by accident and I put this sound in there, kind of messed with the sound, messed with effects, like everything on it. I really like distorted it and it's actually a super stupid joke, but it turned out to be a super big success. Just do whatever feels good and don't always use your eyes while producing. Always listen to your ears, like, does it sound good? Does it have a good sound? That's all that matters. Don't really go too much into workflow or too much into rules of producing. The fun thing about music is that it has no rules. So just be creative, do whatever you like. That's the most important advice I can give you guys this whole tutorial.
So I put a delay on my slap or clap or whatever you want to call it. If you open the feedback, if you go over 55%, it will, how do you say that? It keeps on going and going and going until it like distorted. You can hear now that it's all distorting, right? Because the feedback is too much, so it keeps coming back. Like if you put a microphone next to a monitor and you talk into it, and it starts distorting.
Timing of the notes. I mean, a lot of people just play in their bass, like the bass line, and then they're happy with it and leave it like that. We can sit for hours and discuss how long this little, how long the little space between the notes should be.
Film here, this is just insane. This little space here, I don't know, we worked you could have worked like, I don't know, 3-4 hours and discussing it, and we can get angry on each other. It's like, and then we go and sit in each other's studio, and then we come back together. And it's like, okay, maybe we should pull it. And it's not much we're talking about. It's like this change. There's so much for us.
And also the combination of the fact that the
that one length is that, and then it's
yeah, the combination of that the four first note has like a little space in between them, where the weirdo doesn't have any space at all. So it's like, yes, that dynamic goes back and forth to the stompy, legato. And that's like one thing that we work a lot with. Like the spaces in between the notes on the chords, on the melody, on the bass. If you start like listening to it and like maybe move it a little bit, it changes the whole groove of the track.
Pop producers, they just like play in everything, and then next one they play in everything, and then they're like, oh, it doesn't sound like dance music. Of course not. It's like it's the smallest timing, and that's the same thing with all the automation. It's the small stuff that makes the whole thing.
I mean, all the little details together makes the whole feeling of the track.
It's just the lead sound, which sounds like this. Now it changes. Well, to make that change, there is a little bit of automation going on there because it's been done with a filter. Takes a lot of time to do it, but I think it really makes the song particular. The LFO comes up every time when the longer notes are playing. And the rate of the LFO is coming up at the end of the 4 bars every time. That's really crazy at the end. What I really think it's important in a club edit that the first elements and the first punches of the kick are very clear, so you can do a proper beat mix when you're playing the track live. When somebody is using it in a DJ set, you already hear that the track is coming up over the track which has been played before that. And it's just because of one sound. This sound. Because it's very recognizable and it's there from the beginning. So when you use it in a DJ set, the bass frequencies you probably have put down, but this is really coming straight through. So if you use this track over another track, this is the element that's already there. What I try to do is to make a really tight package before I go to the final limiter. So the limiter doesn't have to work that hard. And one thing you can do that with is with a multi-band compressor, because you just divide your frequency spectrum in 4 pieces and you just compress each piece of that separately. And so you just can use a hard compressor on the sub-frequencies and a not so hard compressor on the higher frequencies, and so you can make a really tight package.
I think the whole point of making our music is that we're still men and boys in the same time, you know, and you want to make it like sound like really grown up, but also like really ragey and just don't think about stuff and a little crazy. So I think that's the balance that we create in our tracks. Like we're still 16 when we're looking at each other like, oh, this is crazy, you know. Yeah. But you also want to surprise people and like being ahead of time and just make something unique.
The biggest challenge is that to keep your old fans and gain new fans.
Right, absolutely.
And that's the challenge.
Absolutely.
And then
But you know what is that challenge is so nice to do, and even if it doesn't work out, you know you tried and you did what you wanted to do, and that's the most important thing.
And you learn from it.
Yeah.
You learn other things and you evolve. Yeah, absolutely.
well, because I did boxing for 7 years. I went to the ring without no fear, and I had to make a music change. Like, fuck, what I'm gonna do? You know, like what's gonna happen? I was like, suddenly, like, whoa. There was a little bit of fear, of course, right?
Exactly.
But you have to get over it. Always put a mono lead in between, because sometimes the sounds are so stereo, and to get a really like big effect, you missed your, and then you go to mono stereo, and then it's gone. Like, oh wait, and so we always put in this mono synth, and we go to mono, and then we, oh, this is good. We go to stereo, and then it's still there. Like there's a certain attack you want to feel on the 100 hertz feeling.
Yeah. And then the pressure.
That's the pressure we call. There's always a sub that goes lower than 60 hertz till 30, so it rolls down. That's the most important thing. Our subs, they roll. They never like, they always, you know
Not
what
like
I mean?
a bass.
They
People
move.
use a kick as a bass, something like, but if you give a kick a modulation from 100 to 50 hertz, it's less like, And that's like that's what makes it rolling and dynamic.
And
but it's really hard though, because on that Cannonball track, I think we spent maybe 2 days on that kick.
You guys choose the right sound to begin with. So mixing for you is selecting the sound, whereas mixing in some other genres is selecting a sound, hoping it'll be right later. But you select the sound you want at the time you're creating.
Absolutely. I think that's actually the way I produce too. I've been in the studio with a couple different guys, and I feel like there's 2 ways to do it. You could search all day to find that one sound that's really going to fit in the song, or you could get a so-so sound and you could slap like 15 plugins on it, process the crap out of it, and then kind of get in there. But then imagine doing that with 60 channels. You're gonna have quite a bit of issues at the end of the mix or whatever.
But by and large, you pick the sounds you want. Pretty close.
I think it's very important to pick the right sounds, and not only that, like the sounds you are putting in there, make sure they're good, high quality samples. You know what I mean? Spend your time, find the right sounds. I think that's more important than anything.